Welcome back to the Capture Your Confidence podcast. Today, we're here to talk about something that I think every woman desires to be able to do and do well, which is how to support a friend who's in a less confident season. And we can all think about times in our lives where that's been our story. We've been the less confident one and we really needed the women around us for support. And then we can also think about times where we've witnessed somebody that we just love and admire and respect have a hard time. And you want to be able to show up and support them in a way that like helps build their confidence and reminds them of what's possible. But that feels hard.
Yeah. And I think this is such an important skill because this will happen to you so many times in your friend group and it changes people.
Yeah,
right?
you'll take turns for sure.
Yeah. Like it's not always going to be the same person, hopefully. And, you know, and there's going to be times where it's you. And so really perfecting this idea or just getting comfortable with this idea of like, hey, it's normal to have a hard time. And how can I show up for you when your confidence isn't what it usually is?
And I think there's this dual approach, right? Like the woman who's feeling less confident really wants support, but feels like she doesn't want to be a burden, so she doesn't ask for the support.
Yeah.
And the woman who wants to support her has no idea she's having a hard time unless you tell her. And so there's this like all of this like willingness that's happening and this desire that's happening, but it's like, who's going to lead? Who's going to be the one that either asks the question, hey, are you doing okay? Or says, gosh, I'm really struggling and I need you so much right now.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to venture to guess that it always has to be you as the friend. The odds are that you're going to get more traction with you being the one to check in on someone and being able to read that. And just, you could be wrong, right? They say, hey, it's fine. And maybe that's true. But I think it's going to be much harder, especially for us as women, to be on the other end of that and be like, oh, I, need some help.
Until you get to a place of just deep trust and comfort. And like, we are so fortunate. We have a friendship group now where it's pretty, we can all smell it. Like we know what's going on whenever it's happening. So like, if you don't say something, we're going to ask you and you know that.
Yeah.
But we all feel safe to be able to say something now and like ask for the support that we need. But think about how good it would feel to you as a person who is struggling for a friend to just see you, even if you weren't ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
Even if you were like, you know what, I don't have the bravery or the courage to say what I'm feeling right now. Knowing someone loves you enough to watch you and just check on you. Oh my gosh, what a gift.
Yes. So I think that's one initial way that you can do this and show this compassion is to do the initial check-in. And then I think after that, if you do get to a place where hopefully the person responds with this idea that, yes, actually, all these things are happening and, thanks for asking, and then starts to kind of unload, is just listening without having a solution, which can be hard for us sometimes.
And I think every person in a friend group has a different role here.
Yeah.
And so I will notice like Stephanie is so great at listening. I feel like I'm always great at being a mirror of like, hey, I would like to remind you of all of these incredible things that you have done and are capable of. And I just like, I don't need you subscribing to the story that you just told me because I actually know a different narrative, right? And so you'll notice in your friend group that everybody has a different strength that they bring to the table in terms of encouragement and helping build confidence. But listening never hurt anyone. Like that's a life skill. Even just often your friends don't want you to fix the problem. They just want you to like see them.
Yes.
And the only way you can do that is just by holding space and being like, hey, I think you should just like say what you want to say that you're afraid to tell everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also validating their experience. And I mean, gosh, it is hard for us sometimes, especially when you are like a go-getter and you're managing all these things and you have solutions to everything and you really think you can fix it. To just validate someone's experience and listen.
That's hard for a lot of people who are used to being problem solvers.
Yeah.
But often our relationships are not craving solution, they're craving connection. And what happens when you try and solve a problem for someone that you're really close with is you bypass the part that they really needed, which was that part to just feel held.
Yeah. And then I think, and I've learned this from you, where you can ask like, okay, do you want solutions or not?
Yeah,
is
for sure.
Just a listening session, or is this let's also try and come up with some ideas?
Yeah. And I will tell you the longer I've gone, this really my professional journey has solidified this for me, but I use it in my personal journey too. I do not offer feedback or solutions without express permission.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give you feedback unless you ask me for it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it because I know what it feels like to receive feedback I didn't ask for and I'm not interested in. P.S. I hate it. Okay, so I'm not ever going to give it to you unless you're like, hey, what would you do about this, or what do you think about this? But the same goes for solutions in relationships too. Like if you didn't ask me to solve this problem for you, I'm not going to offer to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think, once you're able to get to a place where you do trust the people in your group and you are inviting or welcoming of the solutions, you really do get perspective and see things in a way that maybe you weren't seeing them before.
Yeah. And I honestly don't know how you could do it without people like that. I look at our lives and how much is going on, how many balls, plates, freaking circus acts, all of the women in my life are juggling. And I cannot imagine what it would feel like to try and do that without a sounding board, a trusted sounding board, where you could just lay it all bare and they could just like see who you really were, good, bad, ugly, and exhausted, right? Yeah. I don't know how you do it without it.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some common mistakes, well-intentioned, but common mistakes that you can make when you are trying to support a friend who's having a tough time.
Okay, so the first thing is like assuming something is positive when it might not be. So here's an example. Someone looks real thin. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, you look great. They could be having a horrible health journey.
Yeah.
You have no idea. And so not necessarily commenting on those sorts of things when you don't know the full picture and the full story. I think that's one thing to be really careful about.
Yeah. And I think also trying to inject positivity. And I know people do this because they mean well, but someone has just dumped this thing that's been bothering them. And then your response is like, oh, I think it'll be okay. Or, oh, just be positive and it'll work itself out.
Yeah, that's the worst thing you could say.
I mean,
it's like whenever someone passes away and they say they're in a better place.
Yeah.
That's not, hey, if you don't know that, we don't say that anymore.
Yeah.
And here's why. A, of all, you have no idea what that person believes. B, of all, they just lost a really important thing and they're not thinking about how it's better for that person. They're sitting in their own grief. And what they really need to say is, life is so unfair sometimes. This really sucks.
Yeah. So I think, that positive toxicity is one. And then also kind of making this about you somehow. I think there are definitely some people who are, good at that, where you want to share your own story of having gone through this thing or something similar, or maybe something not even similar, but you just want to share something about yourself.
Yeah. Radical. What would happen if someone brought a story to you of how they were feeling, and instead of you, it's well-intentioned. Like you're trying to relate to them by saying, hey, I had this similar circumstance and like I was okay too, right? But that's not what they need in the moment.
Yeah.
Even just validating, I understand how this feels. I wish I didn't. I do understand how this feels. This sucks so much, right?
Yes.
And just like not even, if they want to know more about your story, they will ask, what did you do when this happened to you? Yes. If they don't say that magic word, you do not get to pass go and collect 200.
Yes. There used to be this exercise that I would do in workshops where people would get in groups and someone would say something and the group had to go around and offer a response that did not have a solution in it, just so that the person knew that they were heard. And after they completed this exercise, people's eyes were open because they said, oh, I never do that. I never just listen and empathize with someone. I always want to give a suggestion or share about how I went through something similar. And after they did that, it just awareness, right? It just opened their eyes to this idea that you do so much more sometimes the less you say.
Yes, less is more almost always. Pushing them to take action before they're ready, a huge mistake.
Don't do that.
Oh my gosh, you know what? I get it. Again, well-intentioned. Like you want to be encouraging. Hey, you said you wanted, you were upset about this thing and you wanted to solve the problem. So I'm here to remind you to solve the problem. It's like, no, I don't want that. I don't want a mother. I want a friend,
Yeah. And especially not in the same conversation. Because I will say we do our dinners, once a month, every 2 months. We will circle back with the last month's person who had something going on to check in and if they want further guidance, but it's never like in that initial conversation unless it's explicitly asked for, because that's too much.
Yeah. And I think the way that it's phrased too is with curiosity of like, hey, What's the update? Not, did you do that thing that you said you were going to do? Very different vibe.
Yes.
And the other thing is, I think is a huge mistake, is making your friends' confidence your responsibility. Like there is some level of personal ownership that you're going to have to let go of. You can support a friend. You can remind her of how excellent she is. You can be her accountability partner. You can check on her all you want. But if she's not willing to do the work, that's not on you.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to let that go.
Yes. And I think as people who are ambitious and go-getters and want to solve problems, that can be a tricky one.
Totally.
You can for sure overstep.
Yeah. And again, all of these are such well-intentioned desires. Like it's coming from a place of love and wanting to rally and support your friend. But unfortunately, your friend is in charge of their destiny. They're in charge of their own confidence journey, and you can't absorb or change that for them. You're going to have to just let them learn. It's like being a parent. Let them learn.
Yeah. So hopefully listening to this gives you some ideas the next time you notice a friend that is in a less confident season of life.
And permission to you to rely on your friends whenever it's your turn to do it too.
Absolutely. You don't have to save people. You just have to be a good friend.
All right. We hope this helped. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.